I think this is my most anticipated vlog of the year. I'm so excited and so nervous because Cassidy has full control of my TBR this week. She's going to be playing TBR Bluff and picking all of my reads. This is a collab, so I also did the same for her. I played Snakes and TBR stacks, created a lot of chaos, and picked her some very interesting wild cards that she's either going to give a 1-star or a 5-star. So if you're anything like me, you have to know what she thought about all of these books. I will leave her video down in the description box below because you guys have to check it out. But she was a big fan of dice poker and actually helped me create TBR Bluff, so I cannot wait to see how she plays. I'm so nervous, beyond excited. I have no idea what these books are going to be. I didn't peek, so I cannot wait any longer. Let's just jump in and see what her first pick for me was.
I love dice poker, which is what this is based off of, and I'm going to try my hardest to clear your board, so I'm going to give you 5 rolls. Clearing your board on only 5 rolls is probably impossible, but I am still going to try to be as strategic as possible here, and I'm going to play this as if you were rolling as you go. So I'm going to be doing a roll, picking the book, doing another roll, and then picking the book, so I can't pre-plan, which is going to make this kind of terrifying for not just me but also you. So sorry, but let's get into roll 1.
That's a lot.
Oh, we have 3 5s. Only gives me either full house I could try for, or KU, which is 4 5s. But also, starting on the edge of the board is so terrifying. I'm gonna try for KU because I feel like it's a very nice prompt.
This is so nerve-wracking.
Oh, major regrets. So we have 3 5s, and then these don't equal anything on the board. So your 3-5 prompt is steal a book. I'm going to steal a book off of my own TBR for you and give you the next Serpent in the Wings of Night book, the Songbird and the Heart of Stone, because it's on my November TBR because we own a book club together and that's our pick. So I feel like I'm being very nice with your steal a book. I hope you enjoy it. I hope we all enjoy it. Can't wait to read it together.
So that was a very nice pick to start us off with. I am under no illusions that they're all going to go that way, but I'm going to take what I can get. So the first book was Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. Like she said, it is our indie archive pick for the month of November, so I absolutely needed to read it. I am petrified of this book, so was it a nice roll? There's just some kind of pressure about following up a 5-star duology. I'm like, I want to love this. I think I'm going to love this, but am I going to love this? I don't know. But I think this is a great book to kick this off. We're going to do the best we can with this clip because I have a very needy puppy dog in my lap, if you can see him. But I did want to fill you guys in because I have read a little bit of Songbird and the Heart of Stone. I didn't get as much read last night as I wanted to. I only got to about 10 to 15% because Dancing with the Stars was on and I got very distracted. Do you guys watch Dancing with the Stars? If you do, let me know down in the comments what you think of this season. I was happy with who went home. I think that they just really should have probably gone home last week instead of the couple that did, but that's neither here nor there. And I think that either Chandler or Joey is going to win, but I really think that Chandler is going to be the one to win. And she should. She dances beautifully, and I really loved the like Insta dances as well. I think those were a lot of fun. There's like a group chat on Cassidy's Patreon where we all chat about it. It's just so much fun to see everybody's live reactions, and we have a great time. So I didn't want to miss out on that. Before that, I did read, like I said, a little bit of Songbird and the Heart of Stone, and I am enjoying this one. I think that the world building is really cool. I love a good underworld setting. It's one of my favorite things, and I'm really curious to see what Carissa does with it because the world building was one of my favorite things in Serpent. We're getting to know a little bit more about the House of Shadows and their magic and how they control minds and can hear people's thoughts. When the king loses control and his power goes crazy, that scene was so cool and I wanted to know more. It went actually away a little too fast. I wish we had spent a little bit more time there. I think my biggest issue right now is that Mish is not Araya, and I don't necessarily want her to be Araya, but I love Araya's type of character where they are headstrong and fierce and can be vulnerable, but they're still a really strong character. And in this, Mish is just not reading that way. She did participate in the trials, and I just don't understand how we went from that character to where we are now. She's very like, the sun god hates me, what am I gonna do? My life is in ruins. And I'm like, yeah, but it's been this way for how many years? And you weren't complaining about that as much in the last book, so why is that all we're focused on now? And I get it, that's a big part of her past and it's supposed to be this character development, but it feels very repetitive and I just want more from her character. The guy really isn't giving me much right now. We've barely gotten to see him. He had a moment where he came in and he was very grumpy, and I'm just hoping that he's a little bit more than just a grump, because because that scene was fine and I liked the introduction, but there really wasn't a whole lot to him. So I'm excited to see what happens with him and how their relationship develops. Carissa's the queen of slow burn, so I think that part I'm really going to enjoy, and her writing is absolutely gorgeous. So I do not anticipate it taking me very long to get through this book. She somehow manages to write in the most beautiful, engaging way while also not having purpley prose. I'm not really sure how she does it. Her writing is so tabbable. If you are an annotating girly, she writes the books for you. But I want to get to around 50% tonight if possible, and I think that will definitely be doable. I'm currently about 50% of the way into Songbird, and I'm liking this one a lot. I think that the world building is my favorite part of this so far. What Carissa can do with just the underworld setting is so much fun. I am loving that, and I'm liking the trials aspects and kind of the different quests that they are having to do. I wish that those would take just a little bit longer because sometimes it feels like whiplash moving from scene to scene, and I just want more overall from what they're doing and the different creatures in the world and what's going on. I do think some of the side characters could use just a little bit more fleshing out at the moment. They just kind of seem there and not really serving a purpose. And because our main characters feel like they aren't really interacting a whole lot, I wish we had some side characters to bring life and personality into the story, but at the moment it just doesn't really feel like we have anybody doing that. We have Misha, who is just being very introspective and beating herself up and kind of just always worried about what the sun god is going to think, and then we have Acer, who is not doing anything really except for barking orders. And so I just wish that there was more interactions or something going on to make this feel a bit more, I don't really know. I don't know how to describe it. I think I just don't need to be as much in Misha's head as we are. I want a little bit more oomph to it, a little bit more depth outside of her, because the world is so cool, but I'm getting a little bored with her repetitiveness. So I think that's where I'm at right now. But it is reading really fast. I am still having a good time with it, and I'm hoping that as we move into the second half, they'll start interacting more, we'll get a little bit more banter, and things will speed up a little. So I have 7 minutes to film this clip because I'm about to be watching Discovery of Witches with my patrons. But I did just finish Songbird and the Heart of Stone, and the mixed feelings that I have on this book. I think that the world building is extremely well done. It is amazing the types of things that Carissa can come up and what comes out of her head. I think the race were incredibly cool. I liked the sun magic, although that was my least favorite part, I think, of all the magic. The underworld and the guardians and all of the like different quests and trials that they were having to do, I just think was really unique and really good. I loved Esme. I thought she was an amazing character and kind of her little house and niche that she had put away. That's not a spoiler. You don't know who she is or what context she is, but she was one of my favorite characters. I also loved the ending. I'm really not surprised because Carissa did an amazing job with the ending of Serpent and the Wings of Night. Like, we're talking hecka cliffhangers, and this one is no exception. The cliffhanger is massive, but so good. We get to see a character that I have missed come back into the fray, and I cannot wait to see what they're up to and what's going to happen in the second book. I think we're going to get more of his point of view, which I really like, and the ending definitely kind of ramped it up just a little bit for me. I unfortunately think where I struggled in this one the most was with the characters, and that's sad because I really wanted to love these characters like I did Araya and Rain. I don't think they were bad characters per se, but Mish definitely was not my preferred type of lead. She could have been, and I think that was kind of brewing under the surface, but because of the way that it was told, I think that we never really got to see that spunky nature that she keeps talking about, that reckless nature that she kept mentioning over and over again, but all I actually got to see was her just being sad all the time and whining and moaning and groaning about the sun god. So I just wish that we had seen a little bit more of her spunk. We get it, it just takes far too long in my opinion. And then with Asar, we do get a little bit more from him as well, but again, it's like 70% into the book before we really start to understand him as a character, see a lot of his personality. And I think because we spend so much time on Misha and her introspective journey, it doesn't lend a lot of time for those character moments between the two of them as a couple. So when they did finally get together, it was like, okay, well, that was a good scene, but how did we get here? And unfortunately, I just wanted more moments of them together, more of those little moments of them flirting and bickering and getting to know one another and seeing that relationship blossom, because while this is intended to be a slow burn, and I think she achieved that, it just didn't hit in the way a slow burn could have because the tension wasn't there. In the end, what am I going to give this book? I can't decide. I think I'm gonna give it a, it's like a high 3. So the question is, do I round it up or do I round it down? And I think I need to sit on it because there are moments of this I really enjoyed and moments of this that I really think needed to be fleshed out a little bit more. I don't really know exactly what it needed, but something needed to happen here. Either way, I'm excited for the 4/2nd book in this series. And now it is time to grab my computer and see what Cassidy has chosen for me next. It's time for me to see what the next pick is. I texted her when I finished Songbird and told her I was about to watch the next roll, and all I got was devil emojis, so now I'm scared. Let's see what the second roll is. I don't think it's gonna be as nice as the first one was.
Now I don't know what I need. We have a straight, but I don't think you have that on your board, which means I'm really at square one. But next to you is spooky or sexy cover. I think I'm gonna keep the 2. I'm gonna roll the rest. Oh my god, we have 4 2s. What are 4 2s? Where is that? TBR vet, we don't want that one. We're just going to, I think I'm gonna aim for sexy cover. And I'm gonna keep 2 2s and a 1 and try to get another 1. This is my 3rd roll. Shit. Listen, I already can't clear the board. I failed miserably at this. We have 3 2s here. That means it's a video project that is being covered. I'm gonna count this as its own video project, to be honest, because I don't know what else you're doing. And I'm just gonna give you, I guess, a book I want to give you. It's like a friend pick. I'm gonna be very nice to you because I am a sweet angel friend. I don't cause chaos at all. And I'm gonna give you Bloodguard. It's your buddy read, Patreon buddy read of the month. Everyone's gonna read it, so why not be nice to you? I just have a feeling bad prompts are coming, so I'm going to try to be as nice as possible when I can and give you Bloodguard.
Okay, so let me go find the book really quick. So she actually gave me Bloodguard by Cece Robson, and this is my Patreon buddy read for the month of November. The funny thing is, like, half the Patreon DNF'd it after she chose this, which is kind of funny. But I am still really excited to read this because I actually have heard some pretty good things outside of Patreon, and it's just so pretty. Like, look, it's pretty. And it involves gladiators. That's really all I know about it. So I actually do think this was a really nice pick. I'm excited to give this one a try. I don't think I'm going to be able to use the audiobook though, which was my original plan, because I've heard that the narration, just the speed changes between the narrators, and you guys know how I just love that. So it'll probably be an eyeball read, but I'm really excited to give it a try, and she's knocking one off my physical TBR. I can't seem to escape my neighbor mowing. I've moved out of my office, which is right by his front yard, and moved into the kitchen, which is in the back of the house, and I can still hear him, so hopefully you guys can't. We'll make this quick just in case you can. I got to about 10% of Bloodguard. This is about Leith, who is a gladiator. He is trying to become a Bloodguard because once you do, you get a bunch of riches and you are considered a nobleman, and I think his sister is sick and he is trying to make a better life for her. And then we have Maeve, who is a princess, and from what I can gather, she is the granddaughter of the past queen, but her father was accused of killing his mother, sentenced to prison, and so she's been kind of ostracized, and in order to get her kingdom when she turns 21, she has to marry a noble, and she decides that the best person for her to marry is going to be Leith once he gets his status of Bloodguard. I like that the male main character is kind of the forefront and we're mostly in his head. I think that that is an interesting take on a romantasy. We have a headstrong character that doesn't care what anybody thinks and is sniping off all the time and da-da-da-da. And I don't know, that it's a very typical Red Tower book, and I didn't really notice that they have such a pattern until probably the one I read before this one, but it's definitely a pattern. I like the idea of this, but I think it is trying to do a lot. We have elves and dragons and wizards and wereshifters and all these other things, and really, other than the one gladiator scene, which was cool by the way, not a whole heck of a lot else has happened. So I am a little bit nervous. I think it reads really, really fast. It's easy to read. They were all right though, the audiobook not good. So I gotta go take Ollie to the groomer really quickly. Once I drop him off, I'm gonna come home, read for a while, and then I think I'm joining Patreon Sprints tonight, so I should be able to get a decent bit done of this today. Alright, I have gotten to halfway of Bloodguard, and I am happy to report that I'm liking this a lot better than I initially expected. I was very excited about it when it first came out, when it was first first announced. Gladiators, romantasy, where it's kind of from the male's point of view. I was so very into that. But as my patrons started to DNF it and I read some Goodreads reviews, I got significantly more nervous. However, I'm having fun with this book. I think if you go in with the correct expectations of this being a fun, not overly like serious and complicated time, then you could still enjoy this. It's definitely one of those books that kind of straddles the line between young adult and new adult. The characters do read a little bit younger to me than they are intended to be, but I think going into this with a mindset that it was a young adult and not a new adult book did help, because it just feels like that's the way characters are kind of supposed to act, although they do read young. I think that there are some moments in this where some people are going to roll their eyes, especially in the guy's perspective. In my opinion, yeah, some of it is a little bit ridiculous. Some of it is very eye-rolly, but it also feels like something that a guy would think or do, so it doesn't really bother me. I will agree that a lot of this book does feel very surface level. The world building is not being explained very well. It's getting better as we go. I'm starting to understand a little bit more of the politics and kind of her family dynamics and how the royal houses work, but I definitely think that could be done better. It's trying to throw in too many different kinds of creatures without getting in depth on the ones that they have. I think the side characters could be a lot more fleshed out. We had a best friend in the beginning and something happened to this best friend and it was supposed to be emotionally impactful, but unfortunately because we didn't get to know the friend first, it did not hit the way I think it was intended to. So little moments like that. The romance for me is fun. It's not groundbreaking, but I do love a marriage of convenience, especially when they don't love each other in the beginning, but they're willing to work together for a common goal. It does, once it starts to progress pretty quickly, and I wish that that had slowed down a little bit, but I did enjoy these small moments of flirting as we led up to that and think that it was generally done pretty well. So overall, it's fine right now. I am definitely going to keep reading, and I'm hoping that as I continue, the plot and the world continue to expand and I start to enjoy it even more. All right, I have finished Bloodguard and I ended up, I think, giving this a 2.5 star. There are a lot of things that I think were well done. I liked the battle scenes and actually liked the idea of the Phoenix and how all of that worked. I thought that our villain was very villainous, but in the end, this just reads like a very standard young adult fantasy. I didn't really love the romance. I never fully believed it. I liked their flirting as it led up to the romance, but once we got into it, it just felt like it snapped into place and I love you a little bit too quickly for my taste. And I felt like the depth just wasn't there for me. The depth of the world, the depth of the politics, the depth of relationships and the side characters. There's supposed to be some very impactful moments in this, some deaths and consequences, which I really appreciated. But they just didn't hit me in the way that they probably should have, because the characters never jumped off the page for me, so I was never gut-wrenched by those moments the way that I should have been. I also think that the middle part really dragged for me. The trials and stuff were interesting, and then when we got from about 30% to 70%, there was a lot of politics stuff, but it also felt like it was just repeating itself over and over and over again, and the plot didn't really pick back up until we got in the last 20-30%. So I think this one's getting a 2.5 star. I'm actually pretty sad about that because the cover is beautiful, the edges are very pretty, and when I first started this I was like, okay, maybe I'm gonna be in the minority, maybe this is gonna be like a high 3-4 star for me, but unfortunately it did not turn out that way. So I'm sad that this one was not a win, but I am very excited to be seeing what Cassidy's gonna pick for me next. She said that she thinks that she was very mean to me. I don't think that was intentional, but I'm curious because I just want to know, what else did she pick for me? So let's watch roll 3.
Okay, roll 3. We have more options. Ooh, 2 6s and 2 3s. Where is that? Book club or read along? No, thank you. We are gonna keep the 6s. And I'm gonna get rid of the 3s. And I'm gonna aim for spooky, I think. We keep the 2. And hopefully we get another 2. Shit. Oh, so sorry. So sorry. 2 sixes is a 5-star prediction though. I have a 5-star prediction for you because I think it's a 5-star prediction for me, which is The Half King by Melissa Landers. Honestly, I think that Fairy Loot has been picking very well in the end for this romantasy book box. And the idea of someone becoming a shadow at night is giving me Slaying the Shadow Prince vibes. We both absolutely ate that story up. So I know that you got this through Fairy Loot. This edition is absolutely breathtaking. So I'm going to go with this as your 5-star prediction.
Okay. I was not expecting that. That came out of left field, but I'm not mad at it. This is a book that I got through Fairy Loot's Romantasy, like she said, and they've actually been doing really well. I have only not skipped one book that I think I'm not gonna like. Pretty much every book that I've gotten from them and read, I've at least had fun with and enjoyed. So I'm very curious. I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about this one, which I think is a good thing. I like going in with kind of blinders and not really know what anyone else is thinking. I'm excited for this one. This was a good pick. I bit off way more than I could chew. I have been so much busier today than I anticipated. Obviously, you guys can see some Christmas decorations behind me. I've been doing my 24-hour Patreon readathon, and we took a break in the middle because my mom was going to come help me put up my Christmas tree. She does this every single year. We put up both of our Christmas trees together. It's just tradition that we help one another. We listen to Christmas music and we just have a really good time. I've done it ever since we were kids. So she came over and was gonna help me put up the tree. I've had up my tree undecorated for about 2 weeks to give Wilder time to get used to it. And then I looked online and was like, I'm just gonna see what Christmas trees they have on sale. They might have some Black Friday sales. And the like viral twinkle tree from Home Depot, my local Home Depot had 1 tree left. They had the 9-foot tree, which I wasn't sure I would even actually be able to get in my house. And I was like, okay, we're gonna try it. We're gonna go get it and we're gonna see how it goes. And I did end up getting that tree. I almost didn't have enough ornaments for it because I had a 7.5-foot tree before, so significantly different. I didn't think it would be as different as it was, but this thing is huge. It's gorgeous. I'm very happy with it. It twinkles, but it's huge. So that's what I did for most of the day today. I also had to film a little bit, do some laundry. So yeah, I've just been way busier than I meant to. I did get into the first 50 pages of The Half King. She's part of a convent. She is learning to become one of the priestesses, and that is her main job. She's kind of on the low end of the totem pole, and apparently they are seers, and she unfortunately does not have the gift, at least as of right now. It should have already manifested, but she cannot see things the way that all of the other Reverend mothers can, and so she is working on that. Apparently in this world, all of the noble families have a curse on them that the firstborn only inherits. All of them have different ones. Like one of them will get so much knowledge when they come to their claiming day that their brain explodes. Her family, her older sister, is so beautiful that she can't keep a lover. So there's a lot of different things, but the king's curse as a firstborn is that he will spend every single night as a shadow until that night becomes even longer and longer and longer. It overtakes him during the day and he disappears. I love that kind of concept of all of the curses. We have gotten to the point where kind of the plot is kicking off. It has been seen that she is going to go take over the role as the king's emissary. Why her? It was just seen, which I don't love, and we'll circle back to that, but she is now traveling to be the king's emissary, and it's said that she is going to break the noble curses. I don't love seer books. They tend to be a little bit too easy for me. Like the magic and just how things happen is very convenient, and so I don't typically love that, but I'm hoping it will just kind of be a catalyst to get her where she needs to be, and then we'll forget about it a little bit. We'll see. But she is a little bit more meek than I typically prefer my main characters. We talked about this in Songbird. She's very demure. She does what everyone tells her to do. She doesn't want to rock the boat. She doesn't want to upset anyone. I do see a hint of a little bit of spunk there. She asks a lot of questions, even questions that she's not supposed to be asking. So I'm hoping that this is actually going to lend for a lot of good character development where she learns about herself and comes into her own. The author's note at the beginning of this book I actually think is pretty important to read. Basically, she says she grew up in a religion that was very oppressive, where her only value was how many babies she could provide for her husband. And so that seeped into this in some way, shape, or form. So I'm curious to see how that comes about in this story, and I'm assuming that is why our main character is the way that she is. So I'm hoping that I will enjoy this as we start to learn more and as our character starts to grow. With that being said, I did not realize that book was not out in the United States until 2 days from now. The reason that I have this one is because it's a Fairy Loot edition and they are a UK company. So that doesn't really mean anything for me other than this has to be a physical read only. I can't get the audiobook for it until Tuesday, and I don't really want to wait until Tuesday to continue it, so we're just gonna eyeball read it. But Mondays are my long days, which means I really need an audiobook. And so I asked Cassidy, I was like, okay, does my next book have an audiobook? And she said yes. So I think that we're about to react and see what my next book is going to be because I do really want an audiobook. I don't know anything about what she's picked for me. I have an inkling. We'll see if I'm right, but everything has been a wild card so far. Like this, I was not expecting at all. So I'm curious to see what she picks next.
Okay, technically, that wasn't that bad because I could go for TBR vet and be close to clearing the board for you. But is that mean? Listen, the god spoke and we have 2 twos here. So we're gonna go for 4 twos. We got a third 2. Dang it, it did not give it to me, and I was hoping it would give it to me. Okay, so we have 3 twos here, which is on the board as video project, and we already have that covered. I believe in the actual rules of the dice poker game, you just wouldn't put anything on the board. But because we're not playing the dice poker game, 2 twos, and we're gonna go with new to TBR. And why not get you through your special editions? Sorry, I'm picking Chunky Boys. I'm so sorry. Another book that I know we both have because we both have the same subscription services, and do Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. I feel like this is the perfect time to read this, like spooky vibes. I really know nothing about this. I just think this edition is absolutely stunning. And there is a school setting. It is like dark academia vibes. So why not force you to read it? Because then I can hopefully like it as well if you like it.
Okay, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that at all. I thought she was going to give me City of Gods and Monsters, which is a really chunky romantasy that just recently got an audiobook, but she went with Academy for Liars, and I am actually really excited about this pick. I was thinking about maybe reading it for Goodreads horror, but I didn't think it was going to make it into the top 10, and so I really wanted to get to it, but I didn't think I was going to get it for that video, and I wasn't sure when I would get to it. So this is actually a really good pick, and I hope that I love it because the edition is so pretty. I have read an Alexis Henderson before, full disclosure, and not liked it, but it was, I think the setting, that whole like Crucible, the witching setting, not typically my favorite, so I'm hoping that it was the setting, not the author, and I will really enjoy this one. I'm almost halfway into the Half King. I'm like 43%, so we're gonna call it close enough for an update. And I don't love this book. I'm very bored at the moment. Our main character is too bit of a softie, and we're really not getting enough like banter fun. I just feel like the characters feel so bland, and we're getting a little bit of flirting, but like not enough for me to be really engaged. Circe, how do you say her name? I completely messed it up the first time I told you guys. Cerise, maybe, is how you say her name. It's just fine, but she's like a soft snowflake, not my personal preference of like a strong female lead, and the male is just kind of existing. We are getting to a point where we're starting to do more things. We're going on a quest for something to help break the curse, so I'm hoping things do pick up a little because they're going to be forced together more. I love the curse aspect of it. I think that's really interesting. I also think the religion aspect of it is pretty interesting as well. Not as heavy-handed in some aspects as I thought it was going to be, which is totally fine. But I just feel like it's fine. There's really not any depth here, and I need more from this story. I need more to be happening. I need more from the characters. I need more from the plot in general, and I'm very bored right now. So I'm really hoping that picks up now that we're getting to halfway because I want to love this book. I think that the core idea is really interesting and could be done really well with this like goddess that created everyone but was hurt by all of these different families, and so each way that they hurt her is a different curse on their firstborn. Like, that's so interesting. Even the like reverends and priestesses and all of that and kind of that oppression is still really interesting. It's just there's nothing being done with it. It does feel like a young adult novel in that way where I wish we were digging a little bit deeper, but at the same time I know so many young adult novels that do that so well that they really dig into those issues, and this one is just really missing the mark on that for me. So we'll see. I did manage to procrastinate long enough that I could probably listen to the audiobook now. I'm not minding the physical reading experience. It's easy to read. It flows really well. The writing is fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. I'm just bored. But I'm about to procrastinate reading just a little bit longer because I missed Dancing with the Stars yesterday. I'm going to be going to a Christmas ball this weekend, which I'm very excited about, but also slightly nervous because I'm going to be basically going by myself and just hoping that I find some people when I get there. And so I had to go find a dress at the very last minute yesterday. I did manage to find a dress. I think I'm really, really happy with it. It needs some really tall shoes, so I've got to find some really tall shoes for this really short girl. Pardon the bangs. I'm still trying to figure out how to wash and fix them from scratch. I've only had to do it twice, and every single time it gives me trouble. Every single time I spend so long trying to get them to work. Once I get them to work for the first time, I can usually last until hair wash day again. But yeah, anyway, I think they're okay. But I wanted to tell you guys that on my drive to and from work today, I actually managed to get halfway into An Academy for Liars. I didn't mean to read this much without updating you guys, but camera was here at home, book was in the car. I was like, it'll be fine. This book starts off with Lennon, and she is not able to go to school. She has panic attacks, so she ends up becoming a sort of housewife to her fiance Wyatt. Well, one day she catches Wyatt and her like supposed best friend, and she gets a phone call and a bunch of weird voices, and then suddenly her own, telling her that she has gotten an interview into Drayton University and she needs to complete her interview process. This involves a bunch of really weird and different obstacles. They're asking her to do a lot of things that she doesn't really understand, but once she gets admittance into the school, she learns what all of that is about, and they find out that she has a gift that has been dormant since the creator of Drayton died, and she is now kind of on their immediate watch list because of this. This book is extremely slow. However, I'm actually really enjoying it. Don't go into this expecting something that is super fast paced, high action, lots of stuff going on, because it's definitely not, but I find the persuasion aspect of it so interesting that I'm still having a good time. The characters are fine. I don't know that there's a whole lot that I have to say about them specifically, or even about the plot specifically. It's not got a whole heck of a lot of plot in it, but I do find the like magic system to be very intriguing and how that all works. There have been a couple of logic moments where I was like, that doesn't really make sense. But overall, I do think that it's being explained very well. I don't think this is a horror at all, though. I mean, I guess there are some horrific elements, but nothing more than a typical fantasy. And the main core of this is very fantastical. So in my opinion, this is not a horror at all. This is definitely a fantasy, which is fine for me. But if you are almost an exclusive horror reader and you go into this expecting it to be horror, you probably will be disappointed. It reads very methodical, like some horrors do, but it's definitely not really got the horror feel. I don't know how to describe this. It's different, and I'm not sure what about it other than the like intriguing magic system that's really working for me, because it's very slow. But there's something about it that is, I'm having a good time and I am intrigued to pick it back up, which I'm really hoping stays because this edition is so pretty. I did unwrap the full package for you guys in my recent special editions video, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave it up here. It's just such a stunning edition that I really hope that I continue to enjoy it. The second half is the telling factor though, so wish me luck. I just want to check in with you guys because I'm about 75% into An Academy for Liars, and I had a few thoughts, so I was like, I'll just check in really quickly. I am not liking this as much as I was. The cool persuasion stuff has started to wear off, and now I'm just like, okay, well, what is the point? What are we trying to accomplish? Because there's really not a whole lot of plot at the moment. And I'm like, okay, but where is the plot? What are we trying to do? What are we aiming for? And I haven't really found that yet. A lot of the side characters feel very flat. Like I can't keep up with who's who because they all sound the same. I do like Lennon and Dante for the most part, but I just don't feel like there's a lot of character depth. And then with no plot, the persuasion stuff in the elevators is really cool, but I definitely need more than that. I finished An Academy for Liars, and I liked this one. I liked it better than I thought I was going to based off of the previous Alexis Henderson I had read. There are things about this book that a lot of people are not gonna like. It has a very, very slow beginning and middle for that matter. I liked the persuasion, mind, elevators, like there's a lot going on in the magic system of this, but I found it really, really interesting. There were a few holes here and there, but for the most part, I think Alexis Henderson does a really good job of tying up all of those ends and those logic issues, which is hard to do in a system like this. It's one of the most unique things that I've read in a really long time, so I really appreciated that aspect and was very into that. I think that the ending is a little wild. A lot of the action does come in the last 15% of the book, as well as the plot, and we'll circle back to that. I actually really liked the ending. I thought that it was kind of crazy, but also fitting to the story and fitting to the groundwork that was being laid. I think that the plot could have been made a little bit clearer a little earlier, but it wasn't because there was a twist. And if we had known what the end goal was, the twist would not have been a twist. So I understand why it was written that way. It just made the middle portion slog a little bit for me because I was like, okay, well now we've learned about the magic system, but what are we trying to accomplish? So that middle spot did lull some for me. There was a romance in here. Liked it, didn't love it. It was fine. The side characters, I think, really could have been fleshed out more. They just felt like they were there. They didn't really feel like characters of their own, which I would have liked to have fleshed out a little bit more. Lennon's character did evolve, which I appreciated. She could have probably had a little bit more depth to her. The backstory could have been handled a little bit better so that we understood her motivations more, but overall, I think that that was done fine, especially in a standalone story. So I think I'm gonna give this like a 3.75 rounded up to a 4. I enjoyed it despite it not being something I would typically enjoy. It's a very unique take on dark academia and one that I quite liked. So Cassidy got me a win on this one. I did not mean to finish the Academy for Liars before I finished the Half King, but I did finish the Half King, and I think this is gonna be a 2-star. It might be a 3-star. Okay, there are things I liked about this. I liked the curse aspects of this. I liked the religion aspects and how the curses and the priest and all of that was tied together. I thought that was really interesting and I did enjoy that quite a lot. But that is mostly where my enjoyment ended for this, unfortunately. Romance did not work for me at all. It was 0 to 100. We had a little bit of flirting, which I talked to you guys about when I was about 40%. Then when the romance actually started, it was like, bam. Insta love, do anything for the other person, oh my goodness, they are my whole heart kind of thing, and it happened way too fast. I could not get behind it. I could not buy it. A little bit more from her perspective because she'd never had a boyfriend, never even really been kissed, and then all of a sudden she is in love with the king, and it didn't really work for me. Her innocence and that progression, I don't know, I didn't like it. I wish that there had been more banter. I wish that our female lead had been a little bit tougher. She did grow into that more, which I liked, but I don't know, the ending, there were certain things about it that I really liked and certain things about it that I was like, I don't like this. So I just have such mixed feelings on this overall. The plot felt very rushed in my opinion. I think that we could have done a lot more with the depth of this story overall. And unfortunately, the thing that drew me to this about the king becoming a shadow at night and where he went and how all of that worked was like 10% of the plot. It was there as the curse to facilitate everything else, but that in and of itself was very minimal. Didn't really have a lot to do with the story, and so I was just kind of disappointed that we didn't really have that, and I wanted more from this in general. So I don't know, like I said, there were things that I liked about it. I just feel like the potential was lost here, and that is really, really sad. But that means that I need to go grab my computer because it is time to find out what my last roll is going to be. I am not really ready for this video to end yet. Okay, let's watch.
Okay, I don't really have to aim for anything because I suck and I'm not close to clearing your board for you. So let's just see what the dice roll in our favor. 2 5s. I have a book I really want to give you. Let's keep the 2 5s. Roll the other 3 this time. Okay, I'm I'm gonna aim for the fantasy square, so I think I'm gonna keep the 4 and hopefully we get another 4. Shit. Well then, 2 5s is what we have, which means isolated setting is the prompt. I don't know of any isolated settings that I've read you've also read, so I think I'm going to say a Darcy Coates book you have to pick up. That's an isolated setting, because a bunch of them are haunted houses, so they are isolated settings. So there is one that you need to read of some sort, probably. So yeah, that's what you're getting from me. And that is your TBR. I hope you enjoyed all the picks I picked for you. I did not clear a board, I didn't even come close to it. But I'm definitely aggressive when I play, and it fails on me. Wait. I've been sitting here, staring at my shelves, and I remembered an isolated setting book that you need to read. So scrap the Darcy Codes. Scrap that, throw that away. We love Darcy, but not currently. Your last pick, which is also very generous of me in my opinion, because like, the page count was kind of getting out of hand, is Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy. This is just a short little novella, and we love Nat Cassidy, so I'm very excited to see your feelings on this one, and if you love it, enjoy. Okay, I'm actually done. I'm not coming back again. Enjoy.
I am so excited for this pick. Nat Cassidy is like an auto-buy author for me now. I loved Mary, loved The Nestlings, gave both of them like 4.55 stars, and so I cannot wait to pick up another book from him. I'm so excited. I don't really know a whole lot about this book. It is an isolated setting. I think he's stuck at like a rest stop or in the rest bathroom or something, and I don't know. It's kind of weird. All of his books are a little bit weird, but in a good way. She was right though. She is really nice to me because it's somewhere between like 70 and 90 pages, I think, so I should be able to fly through this, but like, I'm so excited about this pick.
Okay, so you may not be able to hear me because the vent in my office is so very loud, but I am currently halfway into Rest Stop, and so I quickly wanted to check in because I figure I'm probably going to finish this before I leave work, and I didn't want to not give you guys halfway thoughts. I think this is different than Nat Cassidy's normal works. It's very campy, which I was not expecting, and I don't know, there's some parts of it that I'm like, we are trying way too hard, and then other parts of it I'm like, oh, shiny, that's interesting. Basically, this is following a guy, Abe, going to visit his grandmother in the hospital. She was awful, so he doesn't really want to be there, so he makes a pit stop and goes into the bathroom and gets locked inside, and all of these strange things start to happen and crawl out of the vent. So there's definitely like trigger warnings for this for different creepy crawlies, and I'm enjoying that part of it, but I do think that the campy humor was trying just a little bit too hard, but I also think that's what he was going for, so it's like, but there's been some stuff that's happening and I'm like, okay, where's the, what are we doing here? What's the angle? Because I'm very intrigued, and I think that the pacing and the tension is really good, but I want to know what's going on.
So I managed to finish Rest Stop while I was at work today, and this is just a campy time. It's definitely like slasher vibes, even though it's not a true slasher, definitely more isolated setting. It gives off those vibes. It doesn't take itself too seriously, which I did like. I think that a lot of the like stupid type things that were in this were very intentional by Nat Cassidy, and I really liked the ending of it. I thought it was pretty well paced, and I enjoyed it. Is it my favorite from him? Definitely not, but I still had a good time with it, and I'm glad that I read it. But because it's so short, I don't really want to tell you anything else about it. I think that if you like Nat Cassidy, you like campy horror, you like slashers, and you don't mind some creepy crawlies and a slightly ambiguous ending, that you will like this one, so I would definitely recommend giving it a try. So that is a wrap on this video. Cassidy said that she wasn't very nice to me, but I actually think she was pretty nice. And I had some wins, some things that I really enjoyed, some books that I was so glad I got to, books that I wouldn't have gotten to very quickly on my own. But I also got to pick her books. So did she get as many wins? What did she think about her books? I played Snakes and TBR stacks for her and chose her books and was living in the chaos of getting to choose her some wild cards. If you want to see what I picked and all of her thoughts on those books, you need to check out her video, which I will leave on the screen for you guys. If you just want to let me know that you were here and hanging out, leave me a friendship emoji of some kind down in the comments below. As always, thank you guys so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!